Good evening, everyone. On behalf of the Rotaract Club of Achievers Lanka Business School, I warmly welcome you all to Excel in Excel 2.0. Today's workshop will give you an understanding on the various functions of Microsoft Excel. And today's workshop will be conducted by Mr. Hamdhan Sulaiman. Hamdhan is the past president of the Rotaract Club of Achievers Lanka Business School for the year 18 and 19 and was the district treasurer for Rotaract District 3220 last year. Hamdan has over 6 years of work experience at Mass Active and LSEG and currently is working as the assistant manager in finance business partnering post-trade at LSEG. Hamdan, over to you.
Sorry guys. I lost connection for a bit, so I couldn't hear you all. But am I audible? Can you all hear me?
Yes, Hamdan.
Okay. Okay. Uh, it's good to be back again at one of Rotaract Achievers projects. Uh, so as Sandeep mentioned, I was past president 2 years ago, so it's really nice to be back. Uh, just to give you all a bit of a background in terms of Excel, it's something which is like bread and butter when y'all all start working in corporate offices. I'm sure some of y'all are working, and it's pretty much like bread and butter at office, because I think every employee needs someone to be savvy with Excel, whether it's a marketing budget or when it comes, especially people in finance, Excel is like bread and butter. And I also learned all my Excel skills through work and Rotaract, of course. So what I'm going to do is give you all a basic idea of the basic most used formulas in Excel with a raw data file I've prepared. And this raw data file is basically members, I think 2 years ago, database of Rotaract achievers, and then their date of birth, where the city is from, the age, and also in this case, it's an assumption selling of chocolates, like on a monthly figure where we sell chocolates, and so the whole session is going to be analyzing this data and how to move around with these details with shortcuts like formulas. And then what I'm going to do different from last is do a little graphical views of the data, which will come in handy for you all when it comes to reporting and when it comes to project proposals. Where you can do these graphs and things like that. So I'm sure most of you all also know bits and pieces of Excel. Excel is like a vast area. I'm just showing you all the basics. So like I said, the first session will be more in the lines of these formulas, the most used and most sought out formulas in Excel. And then after that, you all can ask me questions, and I will answer them to the best of my knowledge. The other thing I want to point out is Microsoft always keeps updating Excel. So mine, I think, is a slightly outdated version. There are few formulas which my Excel would not support, because this is my personal laptop. I have an office laptop as well, so that's more updated. So some of the formulas I tried last night didn't work on this laptop. Uh, so if that's the case, you could always private message me or get in touch with Rotaract Achievers, and I could maybe help you all out through another session or something of that sort. So let's get started. I'm going to just take you all through these 12 basic formulas and then go into pivot tables and just go into more detail on pivot tables, as well as do some graphical designs, graphical charts and stuff like that based on the data. So let's get started. I touched on this last time as well. When it comes to Excel, most companies like the data to be formatted, so it's very important to format. So there are things like, when it comes to numbers, people prefer it as this apostrophe comma style. It makes it look better. So what I'll do is I'm just going to highlight this, and then just press the comma button, and that's like that type of formatting. So it comes in dots, and then you can always close this place, like put it to full to 0 decimal place. I'm going to just start off with a basic formula, which is sum. There's so many ways of doing it. Due to the constraint of time, I think I'm going to just show you all like the most easiest way, and y'all could also try it out. There's a data set. I think Sanjay would have explained to you all that there's a data set which you all can download and also do it alongside while I'm working on it. Or this will be recorded and shared on Facebook or on YouTube, and you all can even refer to that. So starting off with, I already have a total here, but just to show you all how it works, I'm just going to type in total, and then I say equals sum, SUM, open bracket, and then where I want to start it from, right? So I want to start it from January to December. So I shift control from January to December, and then I close bracket and press enter. Get 558. So if you even move your cursor and see the total there, you can see the value here. Excel also does it for you, sum 558. That's what we worked out here. So what we can do is, I'm showing you shortcuts as well. So can you see this box here? You just go and keep your cursor there, and you get this plus sign. You double click, and it just shows the formula right down. Right? So that's your total. That's your sum formula. Now I'm going to do your average formula. Average formula is it picks up the average of the 12 months. So it equals average. Sorry, my cursor just keeps moving. Equals average, open bracket. Then again, you do the same thing. Take it to December, and then percent. So the average of this particular person, child, is 47. Another thing I'm going to just quickly show you all is how you all can view this to make navigation very much easier. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to freeze the pane from Shahid Hussain, like from D column. I'm just going to freeze it, and I will show you what happens. If I'm going too fast, you could just put a message on the group and just tell me to slow down, or just tell me that you'll want me to repeat something. Just go ahead. I want it to be as interactive as possible, but just maybe raise your hand, and then we will message you also, and then ask what you want. Maybe someone from the organizing committee can maybe reach out to you, and then we could. So I went to view, and I'm freezing panes. I'm freezing. So I'm going to basically freeze from here, okay? From D3. So in that way, when I go down also, my topic will show. So what I'm going to do is freeze panes. So the moment I freeze panes, see, I can go right down, but that from D3, that's 2 and above, is frozen. And when I move this side, Shahid Hussain shows. So when I'm navigating, it's quite easy for me to navigate. So I've now worked out the average. What I'm going to do is the same thing I did for total. I'm just going to press this plus sign, and it does the total for me. Right down to Sendaru Pereira. Right. Because I showed you average and total, I'm going to just show you 2 more formulas which I haven't said in the most used formula. These are not most used, but in terms of performance, you'll always want to see which was your best month, or how much you scored in your best month. Right? So I'm going to say best. So for like best, like when you have vast amount of data, when you have large amount of data, you want to show what your highest score is or your most best performance. So then I'm going to do equal max, max, the max formula, open bracket, and then Jan to December. What I advise is, what I'll do is I will do all my basic stuff, these top 10 formulas, and then I'll leave some room for questioning because I think that would be easier. So maybe the first half an hour, I'll do all these formulas and stuff and show you all. And then when you all have questions, I will take you all through it, okay? So this is max, again, plus. Now I'm going to do worst performance. Equals min, bracket. So that's worst performance. And then again the plus. Right? So that's max or best, max formula. Like you do equal, max, open bracket, and that period. And then also for worst, you do min, and then you do that period of data you want, right? Now what I'm going to do, now it's like the most interesting stuff. Count formula is basically what it does is, it shows the number of variables that comes into play where what do you call it, where numbers are concerned, where there are digits. What I'm going to say here is number of months, so the number of months these guys sold chocolate. So I'm going to say equal count, open bracket, and do the period. Can you see it's 12 months? Because there are 12 number digits. What happens here is, now if I consider from, if I take it from column F to column T, it ideally, how many cells am I picking up there? I'm picking up from column F to column T, it will be a total of 15 cells, right? But see what happens here. What I'm going to do is, I'm going to say take it from C. It says 15. That's because there's actually 18 cells in this lot I've selected. I have dragged it from C to T. Ideally, there are 18 cells, but it's only showing 15. That is because I've taken the count formula. Count formula counts only the number of cells that have numbers. But the moment I put count A, which is the next formula, see what happens to this number. It becomes 18. So count A, the difference between count and count A is, count A takes that particular cell which has some data in it. But count only takes the data with numbers. See this number, this will change the moment I delete 61. It becomes 17. Or if I delete Hussein, it becomes 17. That's because there is no data on column C. But see what happens if I change this formula back to count. Okay, I'm taking from Hussein. The moment I delete Hussein, the number doesn't change because I didn't delete a cell which contains numbers. If I delete this number, it changes. That's a little bit of count and count A. I'm going to just delete this column because I don't need it. So I'm just deleting it. Coming back to this. So I've basically done sum formula, I've done average formula, I've done count formula, I've done count a formula. I'm just highlighting these four. So we've completed. Now what I'm going to show is concatenate formula. Concatenate formula, what it does is it basically combines two cells. What I'm going to do is this is Shahid Hussain or maybe Leila Zafir. It's in two different cells. I want to see it in one cell. So what I would do is I'm going to insert a column. So right click, insert. So if you want to insert columns, you have to just click on the column you want to insert it. If you want to insert it before, you just click on the column after, right click, and then you insert column. Okay, you could also go the long way and go to home and also press insert and you can insert a column. Insert cells and insert column. Insert sheet column. Here you go. Right? Now what I want to do here is do full name. Rather than the normal way what people would do if they do not have their limited knowledge of Excel, would just type in the Shahid Hussain. What if I told you there's a faster way of doing this? Equals con epic B. So let me show you one more thing before that. This is now I'll get both of them together. Is that all right though? There is no space in between. Now, how do I get that space? What I'll do is simple. So what I'm going to do is, since I need a space, I'm going to denote space there and Excel will pick it up. I put the open inverted commas, put a space, close inverted commas, and put a comma. The moment I do this, there's a space in between Shahid and Hussain. So the same way I did the totals and the average and the min and the max, I'm going to just plus. And everything gets picked up. What I will also do is, since certain names are getting cut off, just for looks perspective, I'm going to just double click between D and E, and it automatically adjusts. You could also just adjust it like this, but it's always, just double click and it gets to the perfect size. Right? So that's concatenate. If formula is to do with logic. So basically, what I'm going to say is, I'm going to rate these guys' performances. Before that, I would like to just, what I would do is I would like to format this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just format this. I'm going to leave column Y intentionally, but look at this. I'm going to just format this. Just format it and then draw lines. So if I want to put all like to just format it, put all borders, we go to home, you go to this box, and you put all borders. There are different types of ways of putting your borders. You do your all borders. What I want to do here is same thing. I want to show column X the formatting as column Y. I'm going to highlight this whole column. Can you see this format painter? I'm going to click on that and format column Y. I didn't have to go and click on the boxes and all that because I just formatted it. See? It's perfect. Right? The other thing is I'm going to center line all this. Center line is here. Right? Coming back to the formula, I'm going to call a column called performance. I'm going to rate these guys, right? So can you see each of their totals ranging from 500 to 400? So I basically assume that they are all given 100 bars of chocolate each month, and this is the number of units they sold. And you see, each of them are ranging between 300 to 1,000 being max. What I'm going to say is how someone would judge performance here is if a member has sold over 500 chocolates in a year, their performance is deemed good. If a member has sold less than 500 chocolates, his performance is bad. So I'm going to say if anyone has sold over 500, it would be best, a good job. Anything less than 500 is bad job. I'm going to do that with the logic formula. What normal people would have done is they would have just looked, okay, he's done 558, I'm going to just type in good job. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to do is if open bracket, the relevant cell, that's V, sorry, I had to do equals, if the relevant cell is is greater uh, is greater than 500 units, I'd say good job. Mind you, when putting text again, it should always come in inverted commas. So that's what Excel would pick. If it's not, that's the result you need to give. It's bad job. Right? So Shahid sold over 500 chocolates, so it's a good job. For someone like Anushan who has sold 467 chocolates, let's see what they say. There you go. It says bad job. Nuanti who has done 497 is showing bad job. Minindu who's showing 492 is showing bad job. Asita showing 449 showing bad job. So Excel's picking up and see all the good jobs are over 500. You see that logic? It's quite easy to do this. It didn't even take me 5 minutes to sort it out, right? So that's the if formula. Let me show you count if formula. Count if formula is basically a combination of the if formula and count formula, as the name suggests, right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to over here, out of the how many members are there? There's 72 members, right? So I'm going to type in here number of members. So how many? I'm going to do count. So these are digits, right? So it'll work for count. So good job, right? I'm going to say number of members who did a good job. Would be equals count if so performance. I'm going to drag up to down. Is 72, right? And my criteria is going to be that if I'm not wrong, this won't work because it's not numbers. Let me just write out and see. It picked up the number of members who did a good job, 59. Ideally, 72 minus 59 is basically the bad job members. Let's put that to the test and see if that's what we get. It should be 13 now. Let's again copy this, paste it here. Number of members who did a bad job. So what we would do here is we would control C this, control V that. Sorry. Let's do this again. Count if, open bracket, range, is the 72 range. Criteria would be bad job. Can you see that? It gave you 13. So 59 plus 13 gives you 72, which is shown right here. There's something else I forgot to tell you all, is that, for example, if you saw what I did here, right? I now say, for example, if I want to see the count and I want to say equal count, open bracket, so it's 72, right? Yeah. And I want to put that 72 here also because it's 13 out of 72. So what I'm going to do is copy this and paste it here. But can you see it showed 71, even though I've copied that same amount of cells. The reason being, because I didn't lock this cell. I didn't lock A3 to A74. To lock it is you have to press F4. From your keyboard, you go to that particular cell and lock it, F4. The moment you lock it, right, and you control C and control V and paste it down, it will copy the whole thing. Because the moment you don't lock it, right, it's now Excel. If you don't lock your cells, it's picking from here now. And the moment I copied and pasted it just below it, what it did was it copied from A4 downwards. Not 72 cells it took. But if you look at the 75th cell, it's blank. Hence why it showed 71. The moment I lock it and copy and paste below that, it didn't move the range. It just stayed on the same range. So it's important when doing, like, I'm going to show you summary formulas and things like that. When doing ranges of those sorts and when you want to copy and drag, it's always good to lock your cells, right? There are moments it's good you don't lock it also, but it's always good to lock your cells if you're going to go on repeating that same set of data. You're going to use the same set of data, right? So what I'm going to do is I deleted that because I didn't need it. I just wanted to show you this thing, right? That's for county form. Now the VLOOKUP formula, right? Just give me a second. Coming back to the VLOOKUP formula. As you know, like most corporate places, they have data in numerous files in numerous places. And like if you want to pick up something from another file, and you don't have to copy the whole thing over again, right? And then there's a lot of human error when it comes to looking and typing it again and stuff like that. That's where VLOOKUP comes into play, which makes it so much easier. I love this function. I use it a lot. I want to know how many chocolates Nuanti Manaperuma sold for the year. Okay. So I'm going to just type Nuanti here. Right. And then I am going to do a VLOOKUP and see how much of chocolates Nuanti sold for the year. So the VLOOKUP value would be nuances. And I'm going to take the area. So I'm going to take this whole database file right up until Z, right? Because I'm just taking the whole whole data. You can also just take up to what you want, but I'm just taking this whole data. I'm locking the file, right? Because the moment you copy the VLOOKUP formula and paste down, it will just go a step down. So it will miss out on a few stuff or few data because the source keeps moving. You don't want that. You want to have a firm set of data. And then what I'm going to do is, I'm going to say from which column would I want to pick. So this is the first one is what value I want to look up. That's one thing. Then I'm picking up the data source, okay, and then I'm saying which column I want to look up, right? The column I want to look up would be, so it starts from first name. That's where I started my VLOOKUP table. That's from column B. So column B is 1, column C is 2, column D is 3, column E is 4, date of birth is 5, city is 6, age is 7, total is 8. So I'm going to put column 8. And then I'm going to say 0 because I want the exact match. Can you see that? It became 497. How many chocolates has Moati sold? 497. Can I type someone else's name and see if that number changes? Let's type the past. Will his name change? There you go, 524. Is it 524? Let's take a look. 524. Let's try and see if Kisura's number changes. There you go, 664. Yeah. So the number keeps changing based on the value you are looking up, right? Okay, so guys, the other thing I wanted to tell you all is that I keep typing his name now. What if I told you there's an easier method to do this and to avoid to avoid typing errors and stuff like that? The moment I want to type Tisra, but I spell Tisra's name without an H. See, not applicable error comes in because there is no Tisra. There is no Tisra, it's Tisra, right? Because there's an error in spellings. So Excel picks up that and they say there is no one as such. So it's giving a not applicable formula, right? So that's why you have to type in the correct term to get the value you want. Sometimes, for whatever reason, so maybe someone joined the club recently and didn't get the club to sell chocolate, and that person's name, let's say, is John. So it's coming as not applicable. So when doing reporting, this word not applicable in hashtag not applicable, it looks ugly, right? If John didn't sell any chocolates, then ideally, if John hasn't sold any chocolates or he didn't make the cut or he's not in the database, you would prefer to see a number like a 0 rather than a not applicable, right? We could do that as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go back to this VLOOKUP formula and I'm going to adjust it a bit. I'm going to say if error, that's where the not applicable comes when it's an error, open bracket, the value is VLOOKUP and that formula, comma, if this formula doesn't work, I want Excel to show it as a 0. And a 0 pops up. I'm really anal about formatting, so I need to do this, and that's this comma style. It shows it very nicely with a dash, which also is known as a 0, right? I'm going to copy this and just drop it down further, right? just to, just to throw in some more names, right? So as you can see, John doesn't exist. Another thing I would like to show you is, right, um, the drop down option, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to data. Okay, I'm going to go to data and then go to data validation. Okay, data validation. It says allow any value. I don't want that. What I want is a list. Okay, and the source is going to be this. My column B, first name base. I want to do that for all of these cells. Right? In this way, it eliminates the factor of spelling mistakes. See, I have the whole list of names here now with the drop down. Now you will ask me, Hamdhan, I want to add names, but then if I add names, I won't be able to do this drop down, right? Correct. So then what all you need to do is basically go back to data validation, go to list and change your source. The moment you've added more people, you just increase the source and copy that and paste. If I want, I can do 79, 78. Okay. The moment I do 78, now it picks up data till here. So if I type the name John here, right? If you look at this, it's automatically updated. And you see that John also has appeared. Now, if I show you in this drop down, John won't be there. That's because I changed it only in this cell. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say Control C and paste it all the way down. Okay. Now, if I just pick someone's name up, okay, oh, they have Hamdhan as well. Let's see how well did I do. I've sold 607. I'm going to format this a little more. I'm going to just, take it to whole numbers. Then let's take this to the. Where's this to the? And let's take Satma. Past president. Let's take Vikas. Let's take. See, all these names are getting picked up, and let's just do a check and see if it works. Maybe let's get Niklas, and let's get Rahul, get Akila, right? I want to check if these numbers are pulling correctly, right? Let's check Niklas out. Do you think he's got a total of 519? Let's just check it out. Where's Niklas? Here you go. What's his total? 519. And you see that? It just picked it up from the table. Makes life so much easier. And these drop downs makes life so much easier in terms of it doesn't get spelling mistakes. A lot of people sometimes spell my name as Hamdhan, HAM without an H, and it gives you an error. The value you entered is not valid. The user has restricted values that can be entered into this cell. Cancel, and then you'll have to pick from that because it will not let you pick data other than that set of data you selected, you've ring fenced, right? That's basically a VLOOK drop down list. all these random performers. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is, can you see? Selected random cities or the cities these guys reside. Right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to copy this, Control C, okay, and paste it here. Right? Can you see? Because there are 72 members, there is 72 cities, but certainly there are members from the same city, right? But I want to show only a unique city. That's basically, if there are 5 Colombo files, there's no point in showing all 5. My point of being, I want to show 1 Colombo 5. I don't want to show all 5 Colombo 5. It's 72 now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to say if there are any duplicates, remove them. How would you do that? Rather than just going to one by one and deleting it, I'd go to data and I would remove duplicates. 35 duplicate values found and removed, 37 unique values, and that's what I wanted. From 72, it went down to 37. Right? Now what I would want to do is I've sorted it out here by the number of participants and the number of chocolates each of them have sold. I want to see how many chocolates were sold in each city. How would I do that? Right? So I'm going to go to equals sum if, right? Open bracket. My range would be basically the total column. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just pick the total column. You could either go from column 3 to column 72, or what you can do is just simply pick the whole column. When you pick the whole column, if you add more people, like say I added John, if I add some more people, it will just take all those people. Just if I keep filling the rows one by one down, it will pick all those people. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just select I, column I, comma, and then what do I need? Criteria. What would my criteria be? Like I said, I want to know. I'm going to lock this. I don't have to, but I'm just going to lock it because if I want to move to the right, I can still move and my sources won't change. My criteria be Rajagiri. I want to see how many chocolates were sold in Rajagiri, right? I'm sorry, apologies. It's not column I. What it should be would be what I'm showing in the data here, column G. So that's why I put the cities now. So that's what I have to show. And the range is Rajagiri. Sorry, the criteria is Rajagiri. I want to see how many chocolates are sold in Rajagiri. There may be Rajagiri 3-4 times, but I want to see the sum of it. That's what I'm doing. My sum range would be column I. And then I lock that. And close bracket and press enter. $2,282. I'm guessing there's a lot of people in Rajagiri who sell that many chocolates. So since I locked the cells and I kept the criteria open, I'm going to just drag and drop this and see. Can you see that? Colombo 5 has sold 5,889 chocolates. Maragama 2,137. 467. Let's see if it has picked up everything, right? There's another thing we do at work is we check if all our data has been taken. So what I would simply do is I'm going to quickly sum this up. It's 43,585 chocolates. Say equals 43585 equal. So I didn't basically do a total here now. So what I'm going to do is 43585. See if I have 43585. over here and just type and see if I've covered it. You can see that 43585. So I've covered it up. I put out 43,585 chocolate bars. All these regions. Okay. That's what the summing formula does. So it basically, if I have 5 Rajagiri entries with so many numbers, it consolidates all those numbers, whatever was sold in Rajagiri, I'm showing here in the summing formula. Okay. The summing formula. I did this formula before, but I'm going to just do it, just make this look better. So here what I'm going to say is city. Here I'm going to say number of chocolates sold. And I'm going to say number of members. Right? How would I do number of members? I'm going to do equals count. If just highlight this whole column G, lock it up, and then my criteria. What would my criteria be? I want to know the number of members. So that's my criteria, and I close bracket. Can you see that 4 members? Shall we check if Excel got that right? I'm going to show you something else here, right? I'm going to highlight my whole table, okay? And I'm going to filter it, right? I want to see if my counting formula was right. I want to filter this whole table, 72 members, filtering it. I'll simply shift control L. I got and press the filter. Same thing would happen. Let me just show you. See, unfiltered, filtered. Now in city, I'm going to go type in Raj. You see that 4 Rajagiri here. So my counting formula works. These formulas are quite straightforward, and Excel is something you just keep learning, and there's a lot of stuff to learn from. And Microsoft keeps giving updates, so you just keep getting new formulas, right? It's like a ever-growing thing. So before I go to pivot tables, I'll show you subtotal the step. Can't believe how time just flies. It's already 8 o'clock. Session ends at 8:30. I thought I could finish all this half an hour, 45 minutes. Let me just quickly do this, right? Remember, I showed you that the total of this is 43585. I'm going to do a subtotal, the same thing. Okay? Open bracket. Subtotal has a lot of stuff here, right? It has a different variation. I'm going to go with total spot, but you could also use it for average. So this number denotes whatever function you need. Average, if I do 2, it's count. If I do, see, all these differences. Subtotal basically picks up whatever selection you've taken or whatever selection you filtered rather. Okay. The selection, and you see that is 43585. The difference here is, right, now see if it's sum, it will show 43585. And I want to just go pick Colombo 10. This also check. If I had put sum here for this range, it would have still showed 43585. And I just show that you quickly. Can you see that? 43594. But since I put 43594 is because of this 9, not wrong. 43585, that's what it should be. Because it's subtotal, it just fix whatever is filtered. See Rajagiri 228. Can you see that? That's what the subtotal function is. What if I told you what I've done all here, like this is random performers, cities with the number of chocolates sold, number of members. What if I told you it's just I can just do a pivot and get all that information? It makes life so much easier. Pivot tables are like one of my favorite tools lately because it just summarizes just what you need. So again, what I'm going to do is I'm going to highlight the whole data I need, and then I go to insert, I go pivot table. Now what I want to do, I can construct it the way I want. It's basically a summary of the raw data which I want. In my rows, I want to put the cities. Okay. And I want to put the total as my values. Right. And I also want to put the number of members. The reason it gives me some weird numbers here is because it's summing the numbers. What I will do is I'll go to my value here, and what I'll do is I'll do value field setting and change it to count. The moment I do count, it gives me the number of members in Batramulla, number of members in Purlaskamua, Kalampo 7, 8, 9, Gaul, Ragama, Rajagiriya, Rakmalana, how that 72 is broken up. Okay. And then what do I want? So I want to see the average. This is the average of the average. Okay. That's not that needed. Just take it off. You can just take it off by just just remove it. So here what I'm doing is I'm going to you your graphs. So I'm saying city, number of chocolates sold, no, number of members, right? This clear pivot. What I could also do is this was total sold. No? What I'm going to do is I'm going to put performance here as a report filter. So this is all. I want to see good performance. Only subset of the good performance. So this picks up out of that 43,895 sold, 34,896 was sold by good performance. And the number of good performers of 59. We saw this before, right? Good performers of 59. And then bad would be 569 by 56869. Only 13 of them sold 56869. And these were the regions of test it was coming. Right? That's just a basic understanding of pivot, right? Before I go into any further, I'd like to know if you guys have any questions. If you have any questions, you can put it up on the chat. I'd like to just show you one more thing. Right? What I'm going to do is I'm going to take the number of chocolates out. Just give the number of members, and I want to do a pie based on this. Right? Insert pie. So that at data labels. Basically, this is showing me the number of members of achievers and where they're coming from based on the cities. Since this is a pivot, this is a very interactive pie. I can just pick Colombo 10 and Colombo 12. And you see, it's one each. Select all. I can change this also, right? See guys, if I can move this out and put, and then it's basically the same ways of a table, but I'm just adjusting it in the form of a pie. You could do the same thing for a bar graph, a cluster graph, you could do anything, no? Yeah, have you guys got any questions? Coming towards the end of the session. So if you guys have any questions, we can play around, because I also learn a lot from Excel till this day. I may be knowing just 30 to 40% of the total Excel function. What I do mostly is if I find something new, I learn stuff from my teammates sometimes. They do an Excel sheet and I just go to their Excel and just go through their whole Excel workbook and see if there are new things I can pick up and put them in mind to make my life or my work life easier. And if there are things I don't know, I just go on YouTube and I type it down there and I learn a few new tricks and shortcut methods to it. Because there's enough and more stuff on the internet, right? Like you could just go and search, and even on LinkedIn, there's so much of learning you can pick up from Excel. This is just a basic thing for you guys to get an idea of what the basic most used functions are. I hope you'll learn something from this lesson. But if you have any questions, I'll wait around for another 10 15 minutes so you could ask. And then we could just play around and see what you guys want to do and what you guys want to see. Sanjit Isura, back to you all. If the participants have no questions, we could maybe move on. Are there any questions? Oh, yes, I see. Okay. Sanjit Isura. Or if you all, anyone has questions, you can just, on your mic and just unmute and ask.
If anyone's got any questions, I think now's the time to, you can ask them yourself by unmuting yourself, or you can simply send a message in the chat box so that Hamdhan could refer to it and answer all your questions.
I'm just going to rename the sheet, calling it summary. Oh, it's good. I think we can finish the session early since there's no questions. I can give 20 minutes of your precious time back to you.
I think we have one question, Hamdan. Can you
Okay.
explain the VLOOKUP formula again?
Sure, sure, sure. Right. I'm going to just do the VLOOKUP formula here, right? On this column, on this sheet. Just to show you that you could do VLOOKUPs from even a different document or from a different sheet. What I'm going to do is I'm going to do a VLOOKUP. I'm going to do a VLOOKUP for say someone like I'm going to copy these random performers. I'm just going to copy that, paste it here, so that I have that drop down list, right? Okay, the reason as to why it is showing numbers now and not the names of the people is because I didn't lock the list. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go to this data validation. That's weird. Uh, if I copy this and paste it again, it will come because the reason as to why it showed numbers is it was picking numbers from here. But now if I do this data validation and I lock it now like this with the sheet as well, whenever I copy that formula and paste it wherever, it will always show this list and not that. But coming back to the question, right? I'm going to do a VLOOKUP equals VLOOKUP, open bracket, lookup value would be Hamdhan, close bracket, and then the table array would be from Hamdhan, right? From this first name to the total. Okay, so that's B to I, and I'm going to lock these cells. Close bracket, which is 0. 0 is saying exact match and close bracket. Hold on. I forgot to pick the column. So the column would be 5 if I'm not wrong. It's not 5. So that picks the date of birth. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So it's the eighth column. Thanks for asking this question. I had another thing I need to tell you all on this. So what the VLOOKUP does is it looks at data from another source and picks up that relevant data of what's been VLOOKUP up. So here this is the number of chocolates sold by me, as Hamdhan. And if I pick someone else's name, it will change for that person's name. Nelaka, 515 chocolates. So what the VLOOKUP does is it goes to another source document and picks up the relevant data we want it to show in a different source document. Rather than me going to that particular file and typing in how many chocolates Nelaka sells. Let's go check it out. To look at his name and find how many chocolates he sold, that's a long process. Rather than doing that, what you do is you can just copy this VLOOKUP formula and paste it down. If I want to see how many did Suresh spend, I'm just going to go to, and then and then just get the number of chocolates there, rather than going to that particular data and finding it. That's what the VLOOKUP does. It saves a lot of time because it just picks the data from where you want to pick, right? That's what VLOOKUP is all about. And if you lock it, it makes things much more easier. You could just copy this cell and paste it. Another thing about VLOOKUP is, if I say I pasted, if I pick the source from say C, it will give me a not applicable because C is pulling. It's not pulling from the name. It's pulling from the surname, because the first name is not in that source. Because if you're, what I'm trying to say is, if you're going to put the name here as your lookup, in your source also it should start from your first name, right? The moment you take your source from column C, that first name is not looked at, because what the Excel does is it goes through the first name to pick the total. But since I put the source from the surname, it's trying to search that name from here. Since there is no Tisura in surname, it would not pick your total. But if you're, because you put the source as from column B, it will pick from the first name. It won't work for if you put it from A as well. If you put it from A, it is shown after applicable. But you may ask me, but Hamdhan, first name is also shown here, no? And you're picking from numbers, so that is also there. But for VLOOKUP, the first column should always be what your the first column should always contain your lookup number. Because what it does is it looks at the lookup number or lookup value, which is Tisura, and it goes here and it starts looking for, because I picked from A, it starts looking for Tisura from column A, where it's all numbers, so it won't be picked. So you should always start your column with the lookup value which you're referring to. So since I'm referring first name basis, I did my source from my column of that particular lookup, because that particular lookup being the first name. So it shows 664 now. I hope I was clear there. If you guys have any doubts, do ask. The reason as to why I picked it from B is because my lookup is my first name. But if I had put a number here, like see if I had put 5, if I'm going to just copy this formula down, right? If I had put 5, which is number 5, then I would have changed my source to A, which would have, so number 5 is basically Anushan. And I will have to change my column as well. That's another thing I'll need to change, because here column 8 is basically from the number. See, number is 1, Anushan is 2, Sadan Sharma is 3, Anushan Sadan Sharma is 4 column. See, 8th column is the age, so it's picking the age. So if I change my number, then I'll have to change my column also, because the total is from column 9. But if it's from the first name, which is from the B, then my column would be 8, because from the first name to that particular value, it's 8. And then here I'll just put Anushan here. I showed you a little more in depth of VLOOKUP. I hope I haven't confused you all by doing so. But if you guys have any questions, you could ask me. So yeah, so there, Anushan's total is 467. You would even put a drop down value, or you can even type it down, guys. Like for example, say Vipash. I copy this and paste it. If Vipash's name was in that database, it gets picked. I hope that answers the question, and I hope I was clear. Any more questions?
Yes, I think that question is sorted. Does anyone have any more questions for Hamdan regarding?
Or there's anything else you all want to know in regards to Excel, please.
Since there are no more questions, Hamdan, shall we wrap up this session for today?
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay, so I hope everyone today who participated in the workshop got a really good idea on Excel and how all formulas are used in day-to-day activities that you all need. So I would like to take this moment and thank Hamdan Sulaiman, our very own past president of Rotaract Lanka Business School, was also the district treasurer of the Rotaract district for the past year, for giving us a very informative and really important session on Microsoft on Excel. So thanks a lot, Hamdan, for making us
Anytime.
time, taking time for us to share your knowledge today.
No problem.
And
It
with
was a
that,
pleasure. I hope you guys will learn a lot.
yeah, and with that, I would like to wrap up today's session, Excel in Excel. So once again, thanks a lot, Hamdan, for joining us and teaching us everything. And to everyone who participated, I hope you all had a good session and you all learned a lot of things. So the recording of this of this workshop will be published later, and the link will be sent to you all as well. So once again, thanks a lot everyone for joining with us today, and I hope you had a really good workshop. So I hope you have a pleasant day. Thank you.